Imagine a world where the fate of entire nations hinges on whispered conversations behind closed doors. Not all treaties are signed under the gleaming lights of diplomacy for the world to see. Some of the most pivotal agreements were struck in the shadows, far from public scrutiny, yet their impact rippled through history, changing everything. Today we're diving deep into the secret alliances that shifted the course of wars, toppled empires, and altered human history forever. Picture this: the year is 1867, Europe is a powder keg. The Franco-Prussian War is on the horizon, and nations are positioning themselves, trying to gain an advantage. But behind the scenes, something much more profound is happening. An alliance, unspoken but undeniable, is forming between two bitter rivals, Russia and Germany. Though outwardly neutral, Tsar Alexander II of Russia quietly assures Otto von Bismarck that if France ever dares to strike, Russia will stay out of the conflict, leaving France vulnerable and alone, and in return, Bismarck promises to turn a blind eye to Russian ambitions in the Balkans. It was a chess move that set the stage for Germany's unification, a seemingly invisible hand guiding the pieces on the board. Neither France nor the rest of Europe had a clue, and by the time the war erupted, it was too late. France was crushed, and the map of Europe was redrawn. But here's the thing: no official treaty was signed. No grand ceremony marked the beginning of this alliance. It existed in the shadows, leaving us to wonder, how many more of these secret deals shaped the destinies of nations? This wasn't the first time hidden diplomacy shaped the world. The Napoleonic Wars, for example, were riddled with covert alliances. One of the most fascinating? The Treaty of Tilsit, signed in 1807 between Napoleon Bonaparte and Tsar Alexander I of Russia. On the surface, it looked like an agreement of peace, but behind closed doors, these two leaders were carving up Europe like a holiday feast. The agreement allowed Napoleon free rein over Western Europe while giving Russia control over the Eastern Front. But the real scandal? They had secretly agreed to dismantle the Ottoman Empire, dividing its territories between them. Imagine what would have happened if this alliance had played out as planned. Entire regions could have ended up under French or Russian rule. But not all secret alliances were between empires. Sometimes they involved shadowy figures, individuals whose names never appeared in the history books, but who wielded immense influence. In the 16th century, one such figure was Thomas Cromwell, advisor to King Henry VIII. While Henry sought to consolidate power and break from the Catholic Church, Cromwell forged secret agreements with Protestant leaders across Europe. These clandestine negotiations enabled England's religious transformation, laying the groundwork for centuries of tension and conflict between Protestant and Catholic powers. But Cromwell, his name was scrubbed from these agreements, his role hidden until much later. The world we know today is shaped by the agreements made in secret, by whispers in corridors of power, by handshakes that never made the front page. How different might our present be if those alliances had gone another way? What if Napoleon and Tsar Alexander had succeeded in dividing the Ottoman Empire? What if France had discovered Bismarck's hidden alliance with Russia? Would the balance of power have tipped differently? Hidden within the annals of time are countless stories like these, stories of covert pacts that decided the fates of millions. These secret alliances didn't just fade away with time. In fact, they set a dangerous precedent for the secret diplomacy of the 20th century, where backroom deals between world powers had catastrophic consequences. One of the most notorious? The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact of 1939, a secret non-aggression treaty between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. On the surface, it seemed like a simple agreement to avoid conflict. But buried within the fine print was a chilling clause. Stalin and Hitler had secretly divided Eastern Europe between themselves. Poland, Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania were all carved up, sealed in the darkness of a back room. And within weeks, World War II had exploded across Europe. The devastating effects of that alliance still resonate today. a stark reminder of how hidden agreements can have global repercussions. But here's the irony. Even as the world learned the terrible costs of secret diplomacy, it never really stopped. Throughout the Cold War, secret alliances and covert operations were the bread and butter of international relations. The Cuban Missile Crisis, for example, was more than just a standoff between the US and the Soviet Union. It was the result of secret deals between Cuba and the USSR, agreements that placed the entire world on the brink of nuclear war. These moments in history teach us one thing. Power doesn't always lie in the hands of those we see on the world stage. It often rests in the shadows, among deals made without fanfare, far from the eyes of the public. The leaders and nations that benefit from these hidden pacts may gain short-term victories, but the long-term consequences often spiral out of control. Even today, there's no telling how many secret agreements are being made behind closed doors. Will the future wars and peace deals be shaped by alliances we'll never know about until it's too late? History has shown us that while the public may cheer the end of a war or the signing of a treaty, the real question is always, what lies beneath the surface? What deals were struck that will only uncover decades from now? In the end, these alliances, both known and unknown, remind us that history is often written not by the victors, but by those who can navigate the shadows. So as we move forward in time, perhaps the biggest lesson we can learn is to question everything. After all, the past is full of secrets, and the future may hold many more. Because the past is never truly gone, it echoes.